Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Ambassadors of Hope. I'm your host, Charles Bender. We're so excited that you've tuned in to hear from local South Florida leaders who are making a difference in our community and region through our charity, Place of Hope.
Hello, I'm your producer, Maya Elias, and in this conversation on the Ambassadors of Hope podcast, Charles Bender speaks with Amanda-Leigh Player Hall and Ben Goldman from the Gary and Vivienne Player Foundation. They discuss their shared mission of creating safe and nurturing environments for vulnerable children. The foundation focuses on breaking intergenerational poverty models through education, health, and housing initiatives. They highlight the importance of love, relationships, and hope in making a difference in children's lives. The conversation also touches on the Foundation's future plans and upcoming events. Please continue listening on for the rest of this week's episode.
All right, well, we are super excited today because we have good friends with us, ambassadors of Place of Hope for years now, doing great things with us. And so we have Amanda-Leigh Player Hall, my good friend, and Ben Goldman. They're both from and created and now running and expanding in a big way the Gary and Vivienne Player Foundation. And you guys have done so many cool things with us already. But what we're excited about that we actually did this morning over at our Paxton campus is we did a check presentation. We had the news here, which was great. And it all goes back to specifically what we were doing today. It was the check presentation from the Giving Tuesday of 2023, which was, I think it was October, right? October, November. I think, there were charities doing that all over the nation, but I think ours was probably the most exciting one with you guys because you issued us this very generous $75,000 matching challenge as a grant. And to caveat the idea that, we would go out to the community and try to raise the matching dollars, and our people loved what you all did and stepped up in a big way. And so the impact was $150,000 for Place Hope and all the different things we do together.
Wonderful.
So absolutely amazing. So we're glad you guys are here with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about the foundation, and I'll give it to you, Jamie.
And we saw a range from like $25 gifts to $2,500 gifts. So it was a really cool range to see people support that. And then if they gave $500 or more, they were entered to win a drawing to play golf with your dad. So that was kind of cool too.
Yep. So which somebody did win. So
yeah, you did. So actually going back to what you said, Charles, with this check presentation, we had, WPTV was there. You did a great job of sharing, kind of the mission and the heart of the Gary and Vivienne Player Foundation and where it kind of came from. And it just made me think, so we have a shared mission. Both of our organizations focus on safe and nurturing environments for vulnerable children. Can you elaborate on the specific connections or shared values between maybe Place of Hope or what you guys see in Place of Hope and the foundation?
Well, after my mom passed away 2 years ago, we renamed and reestablished my dad's foundation. And they've always been involved with helping underprivileged and vulnerable children. And so my dad really wanted to give back to the communities that have contributed to his success in the United States. And so we really wanted to find organizations that were really making a big impact in this area. And we were very careful about selecting that organization. And actually already one of my best friends, they live down here and had been involved with Charles. And he told me that this is just an organization that you've got to investigate. And the minute I met Charles and saw what the Place of Hope was doing down here, it just really resonated with me and knew that we needed to partner. And this was exactly what my mom would have wanted to be involved with. She couldn't bear the idea of any child suffering or being abused or neglected in any way. And so just so grateful for the broad scope of work that you do and how we can be involved with that.
Yeah. And I fell in love with you guys from like day one. It was just so when Wade introduced us and you came down, I'm like, these are salt of the earth people. They're going to be doing big stuff. And I could see it kind of in my mind's eye expanding before you even started to expand. And now, Ben, you jumped on board. Tell us a little bit about
I'm the new guy here. I just joined Amanda and the family, maybe a month ago? February 1st, not even a month ago.
Hit the ground running.
Yeah, I was a news anchor in Connecticut for the last 7 years, and I'm 27. And I left my job in September. I wasn't getting the fulfillment or energy that I was looking for by being on TV. And I kind of checked that box off. And I said, I want to do something and work with people that I have a deep admiration for and respect for, that aligns with who I am on the inside. And I played in Amanda and her father's tournament in Philadelphia and met with them and their board members. And there seemed to be a need. Amanda has really worked single-handedly with her board to build this foundation after they rebranded it and renamed it a few years back. And she's now taken it to a point where she's ready to take it to the next level and grow it a little bit more, find different ways to raise funds to help others in addition to golf tournaments. And so, we spoke and it aligned with my passions and my interests. And I was ready to pivot outside of news and find something that really brought fulfillment to my life and start that new chapter. We got along great. And it's like we've been doing this for a long time, even though it's,
hit the ground running.
Been a few weeks. So
you joined the right family. You joined the right group, because that's one of the things that just hit me right from the beginning, is because, we have a tremendous support base that we've built over the years, 5 campuses, we're regional, we have people that support us from all over the state and the United States. And I might have said this earlier, I just love when there's people with heart and they're in it for the reason because all you have to do is listen to you speak, listen to your dad speak. And so I sensed that from the initial meeting, but then also when I came up to Philly for that tournament, I'm like, wow, these are really special people, because what's better than living a life of purpose? I think that's the top thing. And that just oozes out of you guys in the foundation. So we're grateful to be a part of it. One of the things that I also really like about you guys is your charter. When you break it down, one of the things that you guys are big about is breaking up intergenerational poverty models. We see it in child welfare for almost 25 years now. And we see how one generation will just slip into the same sort of thinking, the same mindsets, the same barriers that hold them back and so forth. And so our model, and not that everybody gets it, most tend to, but the idea is we surround them with the things about, future success and breaking the way you were brought up for a lot of these young people. That's a thing for you guys, right? Talk a little bit about that, maybe why you like Place of Hope from that perspective.
So I was, my background isn't in philanthropy work, but as a 21-year-old, after I graduated from architecture school and worked for a year, I had the opportunity to work as a missionary. I could have gone anywhere in the world. I ended up being assigned to New Jersey. I'm like, what in the world does the Lord want me to go there for? But I learned so much in that 18 months living with the people. It was actually the Latin, Spanish-speaking people in the New York area, and just never understood the poverty levels that are in this country. And, coming from Africa, we see it all around us. And so that really opened my eyes to how many needs there were and how many children that in these inner cities were just never going to get out of this. And it's so easy just to say, just pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get out of it. But like you said, it's the cycle. And obviously after my mom passed away and they asked me to run the foundation, we really wanted to make a difference. And so you start looking at the data, and to know that 1 in 6 children are living in poverty in this country and 30% of homeless are children. I mean, it's startling. And so you start looking at what can make a difference so that they're not kept in this, that they don't remain in this cycle. And so the data is very clear. It's, education, health, and housing. And so that's really been what our vision has become, to help organizations that are working in these 3 areas. And, Place of Hope kind of covers all 3 of those, which is very exciting. And you can see the impact that you're having and the results that it's having on children's lives and futures.
And it's exciting because together we're doing even more of those 3 things that you just said, because, Place of Hope's a group that's expanding. And so you guys, through one of your big grants last year to Place of Hope, actually named and made available, which is soon to come out of the ground, an entire apartment in perpetuity. I mean, this isn't just a one-time thing. This is, you gave the money in a one-time thing, but now there's going to be an apartment named for the family and the foundation up at our new Stewart campus.
Wonderful.
So exciting.
So that's like a tangible way that you think about it, where you're going to be doing something. Obviously we need program operating dollars and so forth, like you've done through Giving Tuesday and others. But this is one of those things where it's like physical, it's there. And quite honestly, nobody else in our area is doing this at the level that we're doing it.
Yeah, I'm just so excited about the housing aspect because, so after I used to live down here, loved it. And I married my husband. He's in pharmaceutical industry. So we moved up to Philadelphia, and I promised my mom and dad just be a few years and we'd be back down here. And like 20 years later, we're still there. But, I've had the opportunity to work with inner city organizations up in Philadelphia. And really the housing aspect is a huge gap. Unless you can get people into stable housing, they just really can never get out of that poverty, that trap of poverty. And so excited, that we're able to help, especially mothers with small children that might be at risk of losing those children to the foster care, to be able to have that stable housing for a family just changes everything. So we're so grateful.
You hit it right on the head. I don't think when we first started getting into affordable transitional housing, the aim originally was looking at these kids aging out of care. So we knew what those stats look like. We know how many of them end up in prison and not in the right scenarios. And Jamie can speak to this a lot, but what we didn't realize is that when we started taking these moms with children, we were doing it and then we kind of were awoken to it later, which is we're going to be able to keep these kids. That's the intergenerational stuff that we just talked about. It's not just poverty, but it's also child welfare. People lose their children to child welfare system over poverty, over what sometimes looks like neglect, even though it's really just poverty. It happens all the time. And so by doing this together, we're changing that as well, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I was a single mom for many years. And I just could never have done that. But I had to go back to work. And my parents were just like a rock for me. It really resonates with me because if I'd been in a different set of circumstances, I could have, you just never know. And I think the compassion and empathy just fills my heart because I could have very easily lost those children if I'd been raised in different circumstances. And so it starts becoming very real.
Absolutely.
And you guys are located somewhere where we see that all around us. And we see probably more so than anywhere in the country, the disparity between billionaires, an island filled with them, living less than a tenth of a mile away from abject poverty.
Absolutely.
I've never lived anywhere or been anywhere where I see it so hand in hand, so close together. So to be able to tap into that community that has resources and is so privileged and lucky and blessed to be able to support those communities that are so close to them is an incredible opportunity. And it's endless how much you can tap into that and grow it.
It's so divergent, like you said. What's also interesting is if you're an outsider looking in, sometimes you think, well, charities must not have a problem raising what they need to because look at all the wealthy people, right? Then the flip is you come here and like you just said, you don't know that the poverty is even there. So it's really interesting because you can go out right by the lake into farming territory of Palm Beach County and there's abject poverty there as well. It's unbelievable.
I know this. I actually were just talking with Ben. So we have very privileged that we go to Augusta National every year as a family and we drive up Magnolia Lane and it's the most exquisite golf course in the world. And you get so caught up in that. And just recently it's come to my attention about the incredible poverty in Augusta, Georgia. And so just around the corner from, where people come flying from all over the world to attend this amazing event there. The schools and the poverty levels in that community are just some of the highest in the country.
Yeah.
And so it's all around us. And I think sometimes we're sheltered in this great country to have the privileges and opportunities that we have, and then not look just around. And it's in every urban inner city city in this country.
Absolutely. And people don't realize that, one of the things that excites me is, we call this ambassadors of hope for a reason. You guys are ambassadors for what Place Hope does, not just because you go and raise all this money and give a bunch of it to Place Hope. That's a big part of it. But the other part is just because you are spreading the word. You're letting people know that there is poverty in their backyard. You're doing something about it. I love that you guys love the hand up model. That's in my many years is what breaks intergenerational poverty is the hand up, not the hand out. You can just give housing and food and clothing to people all day long. But if you don't have expectations, if you don't show them the window of potential and then try to hold them to some version of however they define they want to go, they won't get there. But people do like to, lack of a better term, make it happen for themselves. They just need help to get there. And so that's what you're doing with the group up there in Augusta. And you guys like those types of charities as well. So really,
when it comes to breaking the cycle, that's truly how you do it, right? Because it becomes muscle memory. And then they can then teach the next generation what they learned for themselves. And that then becomes the family norm. Yeah. And I think that's wildly important.
We want to give a special thanks and shout out to our presenting sponsor, Crypto Capital Venture. Crypto Capital Venture acts as both a startup recruiting firm as well as one of the largest crypto communities in the cryptocurrency space, offering trailblazing content for over 5 years. If you're interested in crypto, you can join over 300,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel for the latest on crypto. Just go to YouTube and search Crypto Capital Venture and make sure to subscribe. Thanks so much, Dan, and our friends at Crypto Capital Venture. Well, and Jamie can say a little bit about how it landed, but one of the things I also love about what we did for Giving Tuesday is that you issued this $75,000 matching challenge and said to us, okay, you got to go, you want the 75, you got to go see if the community will do the 75. You probably would have given it to us anyway because you're so generous. But the idea was that, we're going to do this matching challenge. And just like ambassadors, it's highlighting all these folks that are, a part of what we do in so many different ways, right? It could be somebody on our staff. It could be like what you guys do. It could be a company in town, somebody on our leadership council. But at the end of the day, it's highlighting people doing great things. But that's what that match challenge did as well. It encouraged people on Giving Tuesday to kind of do a secondary look at us, right? And because they knew it was going to be matched, it makes it more exciting. People give because they want to give, but you can encourage it by doing these kinds of things. And so the fact that we've raised $150,000, and so where you helped us with an apartment a year ago up in Martin County to build something new, now you're helping us actually run a piece of every single thing we do to serve thousands a year. So it's exciting. You had some kind of cool stats on how that went on Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, we had hundreds of people step up and respond and reach out to us on social media. Like I said earlier, the range was from $25 gifts to $2,500 gifts. And people said, if this is going to be a match, this is an opportunity for me to take my $50 or my $100 and it could be doubled. It's inspiring people. And then you see people do spinoffs and if they can do that, I can do that too. They do it through Parties with a Purpose, or they're doing it and they're sharing this information about what we have the opportunity to do here in our area.
Yeah, we loved getting involved in that because we do, as a foundation, we are running, events, and we do one main golf event a year. That's really small and intimate. And, my dad he loves people. And so he gives so much of himself. So we try and keep these events really small, but it does eliminate a lot of people that want to contribute, but can't maybe afford such, a large event. And so being able to engage people and being able to give anything, my dad was like, even writing a letter or wrapping a gift, whatever it is, makes a difference. And to give everybody an opportunity to participate. And then, we wanted the feel good story that maybe someone would never have a chance to play golf with my dad at an event, but be able to have this one-on-one experience with him was really special.
And what's amazing about Mr. Player is that he hasn't forgotten where he's come from. Mm-hmm. He knows exactly what it feels like to be in need and rely on others, and the power of being helped by people with means and supporting and believing in his dream when he was growing up playing golf. And just because he made it big and won all these major tournaments and is known globally, what's amazing and why I respect and admire him so much is that he hasn't forgotten that. Yeah. And he can totally get on his hands and knees and be with a little kid who, has nothing, and is able to relate to him on the same deep level as he can the billionaires on Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And he's the same person.
He is. You know what else I respect about him, although it's a little embarrassing when I'm too close to him, is that this guy gets down on the grass when you're teaching people how to putt, and he'll do sit-ups and stuff like that. It's like he's 80-something now, right? I mean,
yeah, he's 89 and he has endless energy.
It's unbelievable.
And I think the greatest thing about my dad is his endless love.
Yeah.
Like, there's many different languages in this world, and he tries to speak a few of them, but the greatest language that he speaks is the language of love, and he loves people. And we had Ben and I were talking, we had a meeting last night, and I was telling them, for me, as watching him, I just have this most incredible admiration for him as a man. And both my mom and dad were like this, but the way they treat the man sweeping the street or the president of the United States is exactly the same. They have a love and respect for all people. And I think that's because of their humble beginning.
We have a lot of our youth that are in that same situation. We've had so many young adults who had the opportunity to come through Place of Hope and have seen and been modeled for a different perspective on what they've come from. They've come from such broken places, such poverty, such despair, and hopeless. And they have found hope, and they've all kind of said in their own way. It's interesting. The one thing that I missed and didn't know I was missing was hope. And that's what Place of Hope provided. Place of Hope and the people that support Place of Hope are modeling a different opportunity, a different perspective on life. And we have so many of them who come back and are ambassadors. We have a youth advisory council of so many alum who have come back and still support. They volunteer their time. They speak into the lives of so many of these youth. And that inspires them as well to see what this younger generation coming up, what they're going through. And I think it humbles them as well. And I think it's awesome for our supporters and people like yourselves to hear those stories, to know what you're a part of. I've been on the team for Place of Hope now for almost 10 years, and to see some of these youth that came through when I first came on board, and Will and Mary, and to now see where they are, married with their own families, bachelor's degrees, working on staff. Mary just joined our team recently. So it's amazing to see tangibly that generational cycle that you're breaking, and to know that you're a part of that.
Yeah. And, in preparing to meet with you today, and I know we were coming on the podcast, I really thought a lot about hope and what does give us hope as individuals, and especially as these vulnerable, underprivileged or youth, what can give them the hope to make the changes in their lives. And I heard this amazing quote that just resonated with me, that when we strive to love and lift others, and especially children, that we walk into the riverbed of God's love. And I think when we are filled with that love, it's so motivating, right? And we are able to do things that are beyond our own abilities. And then we are able to feel that compassion and that grace and that mercy for others. And I think it's all about relationships, right? So it's not about writing the check. It's about relationships. And when you start to reach out with love, then, and that someone else feels that feel that they have value. And they start to feel like there's something better for them. And there's hope is such a loaded word, and it's something that we need to keep thinking about, and how we can keep instilling that, because without hope, it's a dark world.
Well, you hit it right on the head with, I think why we do have so many young people that have become successful, that walk through tremendous amounts of trauma and exploitation, but that get it because they really, through the way we do what we do, but mainly the people around them, and the fact that we're faith-based as well, and even the American Medical Association agrees with that faith is a great thing for people to move towards, especially if they've been, well, everybody, but if you've been in trauma and so forth. And that's not always a popular thing to talk about, but it is the truth. So we have that, and we also have the manifestation of that through people and relationships. And that's when kids feel like they matter because of their surroundings, and because like the way we do Place Hope, with excellence, but then also, the relationship, the people that invest, and whether it's direct or indirect, that when our young people come into care, they'll start to meet people that are around them, might get a mentor, a tutor, and of course people that work on the team and volunteers that come. But the other thing is they're seeing that just happen around them. And we actually have like benevolence type programs. We actually get our young people to start giving back somehow.
I love that. Yeah. Because the mentoring is so huge, right? We are mentored, and then you want to be able to help somebody like you helped. I think that's very true. Like Ben was saying about my dad, he came from a very underprivileged family. His dad worked on the mines. He lost his mom. He was left alone in a dark house every night. His brother was off at war. His sister was in a boarding school, and, he was left alone. And we always ask him, or people ask him, well, how did you get from there to where you are today? And one, he always recognizes God's hand in that. But there were people that he couldn't get there alone, and none of us can get anywhere in life alone. And so he recognized the people at Kalani Golf Club that raised money and sent him to his first tournament, or the people, his amazing school, or teachers that helped him and believed in him and helped him have a vision of a better life.
I think because of the people that supported him, it then drove him to work harder, to win that golf tournament, to practice harder, to become more successful, to become better, because he had the support of so many people believing in him that he owed it to them to succeed.
All those relationships are so crucial and powerful in our lives, right?
Well, I always say, you can imagine if more were doing what he's doing and how he's spending his time. Same with you guys. But if more were doing that, but there's plenty of people that just don't. So like at his age and everything he's accomplished and everything he's still doing, this is a core part of who he is. And I love it.
What I think is so cool, and I said this at our meeting last night, is that it's so rare to have someone who's 89 years old known globally, whose messaging and whose brand is so consistent for the past 70 years. I mean, the things he's saying now, when you watch him do a golf clinic or an inspirational speech about, mind, body, spirit, fitness, diet, travel, and training, and being kind and giving back, he was saying it 60 years ago, 65 years ago.
And it's funny, when you talk to him about legacy, he's like, I don't believe in legacy, but what he wants to give and what he wants to leave behind is that love. And, when you impact children's lives, you're planting a seed that will perpetuate
absolutely
into eternity. And so we're so grateful for him and his desire, just the way he lives his life. It's what you see is what you get, and his heart is huge.
Well, listen, you took the ball and ran with it too, just so you know. I remember when you called me, you're like, I'm not a professional at putting together these events. So then I went up and just a one woman show running around like a maniac. And afterwards she's like, how do you think I did? I'm like, well, look at the numbers. I look at the smile on people's faces. Yeah. It's just absolutely amazing. So you've taken and run with that.
Well, you see, it's totally, and it's not me. And it's people are drawn to my dad, and he's a remarkable man. And there's a lot of still good that we can still do and hope to do. Just so grateful to have the privilege and opportunity to be able to help my parents who really have given their whole life to helping others. I mean, from a young child, my dad, the first check that he won at the US Open, he handed it right back to helping children with cancer. And that's the way he's lived his life. And from a young girl, they gave a part of our farm to build a school for underprivileged children. And so I grew up, that was a part of how I grew up. And my mom, she's a remarkable lady. She did not ever like the limelight. And she didn't get involved with big organizations, but especially after she passed away, the number of people that came forward, is she would always help the one. And she had a motto that she said, you look up and you reach out. And so you look up and ask, where is my energy best served? And then you go and do something about it. And I love that about her.
My next question was going to be specifically about you and your background with art and architecture and all these things. And it was going to be, philanthropy is so important to you, and not for just the sake of philanthropy, but you basically already answered the question, because, if I said to you, so how did you make that bridge? How did you go from what you were doing before to now this being such a paramount, piece of your life? But I think I might just answer for you. I think it's your family, your upbringing, and all that was just ingrained right into you.
Yeah. And I just think the ability to love, is, like I said, is so huge. And I think that love grows the more that you get into difficult or uncomfortable situations. You are able to see people's needs, get out of your own comfort zone. And that sparks something inside of you. So I've been very fortunate to have many opportunities to be involved, have my, vision of what's really happening around us through church opportunities to serve, or volunteering, or working for different nonprofits. And I think once you start seeing the needs, it changes something inside of you. It helps you know that we can each make a difference, no matter what that is. And sometimes it's just maybe smiling or talking to somebody, or recognizing that a man on the street has value.
Well, and we talked a little bit earlier about, Ben coming on board, and you're expanding. We just talked about you and how you've kind of bridged the gap and really taken this foundation and you've hit the ground running and you're growing. Talk a little bit about what that means for the future. Where are you guys going, and what is your philanthropic strategy to grow, and what else do you want to do? What does the future hold for you?
So that's something we talk about daily, literally daily. It's always a sensitive subject, but the fact of the matter is Mr. Player is 89 years old, and there will be a day, hopefully it's not for another 10 or 20 years, but there will be a day when Mr. Player is not here. We want to make sure that, people will come and still play golf and raise money for the foundation. But our main way that we raise money now is by hosting these golf tournaments. And people pay a very large sum of money to come for the day with their foursome, play golf with Mr. Player, meet Mr. Nicholas, and be around these legends. But we want to make sure that Mr. Player's legacy is alive and thriving and continuing to help people. And that's really his main legacy, is this foundation. And that's the way he's going to be remembered, hopefully, and kept alive through this foundation. And same with Mrs. Player as well. So we want to make sure that there are fundraising means and vehicles that are not strictly golf related. And so that's one thing that we're just starting to talk about now and plan for, because so far it's been, let's just get everything reestablished and built and maximize what we currently have. And so now we're planning on coming up with different ideas to.
I think my dad's such a man of faith that we have to put it in God's hands. And sometimes when you do that, miracles and doors open. But we definitely, right now, we are passed through, right? We support amazing organizations like Place of Hope. In South Africa, like I said, we had a school for underprivileged children on our farm. It's a bricks and mortar school. And we really hope that in the near future, we'll be able to become a bricks and mortar, a project-based. I mean, that's what the project up in Stuart means so much to us. It's a bricks and mortar project that is going to impact people. But I think being able to build something that will go into perpetuity, that will be in my parents' name, would be very special for our family.
And forever. That's what I like about it as well.
Right.
So this kind of leads me to my next question about how do you guys pick the charities that you decide you're going to do something with? Because obviously you're investing, and because it's an investment, whether it's through Giving Tuesday, what you did, or the actual build of the apartment. Both are investments, and so you have to be careful because you're stewarding funds that were not easy to raise.
And that's what I told Ben, like every cent that we raise is sacred money to us. So this is children's money. And so we just keep our expenses as low as possible so that every cent that we raise goes to organizations that are making impact. And when we selected our board, it was very strategic. It was people that really loved my parents and also that were committed to the cause and to our mission and our vision. And so when we, obviously we get a lot of requests. Pat Kaufman was a very, very dear friend of my mom's. And between her and I, we vet these organizations carefully. There's a tell, and we want to make sure that every cent we select organizations where the money we raise is going directly to children and impacting their lives. And that is very, very essential to us, that we give away as 99% of what we raise, and that it's going to impact children, because there are a lot of organizations where, unfortunately, the money isn't impacting the children as much as we'd hope. Yeah. So we're very, very careful in vetting organizations, and Place of Hope has just been a remarkable partner, and we're just astounded. I know you're well funded and you have a lot of support, but I just feel so, and my dad does too. We just feel so grateful to be able to hand you that check and know that children's lives are going to be touched and impacted for a very long time. So thank you.
Well, we take it very seriously on the flip side of that as to why we want to have and talk about the awards that we receive, so to speak. So the Charity Navigator ratings and those things, Candid, and some of the others, these outside groups that look in. If you want to see our books, we will share with you as the foundation our audited financials, because we take very seriously that when you do that, to choose us and then work with us and partner with us, that we're going to make sure that you understand that you can see it and then understand how it gets distributed out, responsibly. That's a big thing.
And I think you've taught me that, Charles, which has been great. Being able to run a foundation and being able to have that transparency is very important for any donor to be able to look at audited books and to be able to see exactly, where the money's going. And so for the Gary and Vivienne Clare Foundation, that's a model that I've followed in suit of you and the Nicholas Foundation, to make sure that people can feel at peace. People want to know where their money's going. And so it's really important. We take that very seriously. And like I said, it's sacred money that is for children.
Well, tell us real quick as we wrap up what the next event is. Let's talk about that. It's coming up. And I know you've got a couple beneficiaries. Thankfully, Place Hope's one of those as well, right? You can talk a little bit about the group that you're going to help up in Georgia. Yes. But also, what's the strategy? Where are we doing this thing at?
Well, very fortunate that Mr. and Mrs. Nicholas have opened up the Bears Club. So Mr. Nicholas's private club here in Jupiter, and it's going to be on May 5th and 6th. And we're very, very excited. It's called The Journey from Africa. And we're really focusing on Southern African golfers being able to share how, they've come from South Africa, what that means, and what that living in an area like we talked about earlier, that you see poverty all around you, but then coming to a country like America and being able to give back to this country. And so we're very excited for them to be able to join us and be able to also to also give tribute to my dad and the impact that he's had on them and their careers. So,
and if you are hearing this, we do have a couple more foursomes available. So if you or your company want to be a part of this, it's a small, intimate gathering, but we do have some room for some more people. So.
And you get to hang out with Gary Player.
That's what I'm saying.
I've been there. I've seen how he dances at the event at night with dinner. He gets out on the dance floor. I mean, he is fantastic. I mean, it is, like you said, it's close up, and it's really a unique opportunity.
And to be with Mr. Nicholas and Mr. Player and hear these stories. Some other celebrities will be there as well, and some names you'll know. It's an unforgettable experience. And we have a chef coming in from South Africa as well, a wine tasting, and just to be in the environment of the Bears Club with these legends, all to give back for impoverished children and helping lift them out of poverty is how could you not want to be a part of it?
Well, and even going forward for the future events past that, when you're back up in Philly doing things up there, if you're doing it here, we hope this message gets out there so that people will take a look at your website. They'll go in and say, okay, how can I be engaged in this next thing that's coming? If you're looking at different ways of doing things, I mean, the Giving Tuesday thing is right up your alley in terms of what a great idea, because it leverages the community as a whole. Maybe people can't afford to, be in a golf tournament, but they can be a part of that, the match and so forth. So other things I'm sure you guys are coming up with.
Yeah. And we're really excited about this event because we're going to be going, the beneficiary is Elevate, which is a national organization, but it's starting affiliate in Augusta, Georgia, that goes into the urban schools and provides teacher mentors or stable relationships for these youth. And the data shows that really can change a child's life or trajectory. So we're so excited to be able to support you and this amazing new organization that's going to offer some hope in Augusta, Georgia too.
Well, Ben, we're glad you're on the team.
Thank
Amanda,
you,
we're glad you're back in paradise for only like one more day, right? But then you'll be back again. We try to get her down here as much as we can, but we were so grateful for you guys and everything that you're doing. We're grateful to be a part of it now, in the future, whatever. But we're excited for where it's headed and just all the great things y'all are doing to just lift and bless young people. And we're glad we are.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Charles.
Today. We're so grateful for you.
Thank you for listening. Please be sure to subscribe and share with your friends so you don't even miss a thing. And if you really gained value today, please be sure to give us a 5-star review so, of course, we can be put in front of more listeners. For details and show notes about today's podcast and how you can connect with and support our guests, please go to placeofhope.com/podcast. And please don't forget to email us at pohpodcast@placeofhope.com. And for sure, follow us on social media. Ambassadors of Hope, placing hope in a child's future.